All right, just waiting a few minutes till anybody else gets on. Hopefully you can hear me. Unmute yourself and let me know that you can see my screen and you can hear me. Nobody out there? Anybody? Type something you can hear me. All right, Don, thank you. Ron, thank you. Just a minute or so, and we'll see if anybody else is jumping on here. Kevin, I thought I unblocked your mute button, but let me check on that one more time. Now you should be able to talk.
Now I can, yes. I see your screen and hear your voice.
Hi, Brandon. It's Steve from York Region in Canada.
What was that?
It's Steve Shantz from Christmas Decor Aurora.
All right. Up north, huh?
Yipper. Unseasonal weather, though.
Hey, Steve, Don here in Oakville. Good to hear
Hey,
you.
Don, how are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Hey, Don.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How's things down there in Chicago?
I've got a winter storm watch coming in Saturday, which kind of amuses me because it's 3 to 5 inches. That now that's a major winter storm anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather forecast because we usually get about your weather maybe 8 hours or so, 8 to 10 hours later. So, but not sure whether that's coming our way or not.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at it. I haven't had time to see if it's, coming south and going north or north going south.
Uh-huh.
And some of it I've heard possibly is lake effect snow.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So might die down by the time it gets up toward Toronto.
Right.
You can keep it up there.
Yeah, we don't need it here. Thanks.
Yeah.
You're
Well, we
gonna
don't
see-
need it here either. So.
Buffalo will get it.
All right, well, I'm going to mute everybody now and we'll take off, and I'll unmute once in a while and you can jump in or just type in a question and I'll look at those after we've done. So let's get this thing rolling. All right, so hopefully everyone, it sounded like for the most part, everybody had a pretty good season this year. A lot of people are up. I know our company, those of you that don't know me, I'm Gary Fouts. I've ran a Christmas Decor franchise since 1999, so a few years. And this year we had about 10 employees that were installers, and we did about 305 properties, I think, the last count. So some of you newbies, even some of you guys that have been around for a while, you know, you can't get in the mindset, boy, I just want to get this stuff down now and get it into storage and forget about it for a while. A good next year season's install starts on your takedown. You know, we did over 300 properties, just to give you an idea. Well, what if taking it down right and properly and saving time, each crew was able to save 10 minutes on each job next year? Well, that's an extra 50 hours of installing that my company would gain, which is about $15,000 plus for that week of installing. So it is very important to do your takedown management. You've got to check everything that is coming in. You've got to stop something that might not be right away, because next year when you find out, it's too late. You know, it needed to be done earlier than that. Let me see here. So let's get into this. We've kind of talked about this. If you can't read and understand the takedown map, you need to address that problem immediately. Otherwise, it will be a yearly hassle. You might have some new guys in. That clean, neatly marked takedown map is a must for next year's quicker install. Need to look at every single one. My father-in-law drilled into me when I was a principal, it's not what you expect, it's what you inspect. And so inspect everyone. Don't expect it to be done right without an inspection. Don't let this easy service create a nightmare for you next season. You know, you will hear if the takedown map was not right. I know my crews let me know about it. Take the time and care to do it right now, and it will be exponentially beneficial for you on next year's installs. Some of the materials you'll need is storage boxes. We'll talk about storage boxes. We have nice boxes from CDI that you can purchase. They can hold quite a bit. Because of the way we do, and I'll kind of go through this, we have kind of gone away from the boxes for our actual roof lights and stuff. We use 20-gallon totes, but we still use the storage actual CDI boxes from CDI for our garland. The guys like to put garland into that. We went away from the larger boxes because we went to a mass storage for mini lights, and so not as much was going into each box. And so we had a lot of wasted storage space, and with the amount that we do, our storage space is limited, so we were able to gain some storage room for that. Obviously, you'll need your ladders. Try to stock each crew with the same ladders, so if you have some movement from crew to crew, everybody kind of knows which ladders are there. I think everyone needs to have a pole. Painter pole is what we use, extendable. You can, depending on the roof, you can sometimes take the roof down with a pole and not even have to get up on a ladder to do that. Electrical tape. You know, you think the crews are eating the electrical tape as much as they're going through it. You're still going to need some. Duct tape, possibly. Packing tape is a must as you're closing up the boxes, or you're marking and putting the labels on, giving a little extra stick there for the year. You can use packing tape for that. Highlighters, if something wasn't highlighted on the map that was installed, now, you know, you need to highlight that right now. Box labels, which are important, which you'll see here in a minute. Pens, you need a red, black, and a green, or you can substitute the green with blue. Box labels again, so it must be pretty important, and we put it on there. Broom and a dustpan. Again, this might be the last time you're on that client's property. You want to make sure it is better than how you found it, if that's possible. Trash bags, if you're going to store your mini lights in each customer's box, you need to have a trash bag for each tree or bush or window that's going to have lights in it. Cord labels, we've never measured our cord labels. We again mass store all of our cords, and so all our 6-footers are in 33-gallon trash cans, and up through the 80s, and how many we need. Razor blade or window scraper. If you've done windows and stuff, you need to have that so you can get that window as clean as possible. And then permanent marker, we use black for that. Those are the materials that you're going to need. Clean maps are a must. Again, you could have and we still have some that started in '99. And so there is a lot of people that have been on those houses, and each person has to know exactly what was done the previous years so they can duplicate how it looks that next year. Takedown lines will be placed on the field map copy and redrawn, scanned to the computer. However you're taking care of our maps, all our maps go into file. We might, once the new light right is out, see about scanning our maps in, but so far we haven't. And so you always have and I guess our terminology, I call it a clean map that doesn't have anything but the house on it. There's no lines as far as where the decorations and everything go. So I can constantly go back to that clean map and make a copy and redo it in case they've changed up their display or anything like that. So on your map, your black is obviously your map lines, the outline of the house, where the trees are, the shrubs, everything like that. Green, and we'll show you an example of this soon. Green light is which way the power. So if I have roof lights, I know which way the power came up and which way is running on that. And we use a little arrow designating which way the power is coming. And then red are power and extension cords. Some will mark what extension cord it is, like a 6-footer, a 20-footer, a 12-footer. We found that a lot of times the display is changing a lot. As the more experience your guys get, my guys don't need to know what 6-foot or 12-foot, they just know what cords are going to need. And most of your installers will get to that point also. Then a PS with a box around the PS designates the power source, so you know which power source you're using. And then all decorated items must be highlighted on the map. So if that tree was decorated, it needs to be highlighted on the map. So you're going to mark all identifiable points first. So when you roll up onto the property, you got to mark the power source first thing. You got to know where that power source is coming. Mark the roof, obviously, but some of you might not do this before removing any lights. Don't count on it. Well, I see that one light, that's going to be where I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to take it down and I'll do it on the ground. It doesn't happen. It gets mixed up, and then you're marking the wrong thing, and then you've just lost time on next year's install. So mark them before any roof lights come down. Use takedown labels if you want. We use Avery. I think it's 1.5 by 3. I went blank on that. And then we just put it around the core by the light that we want to label. And then window, tree, and shrub lights go into plastic bag, and then use the small takedown label. So if you're going to keep all your mini lights, all the lights with that customer, then I put it in a bag, just like the install, label tree A. And so next year that comes out of that bag and it goes right to tree A, and it's ready to be put up. Here is a takedown map. It looks crowded, but you can see on the roof where it started. They put start there, and then you can see which way the power is coming. Over on the left side of the house, it comes down that ridge row to that corner, and then goes one way toward the back of the house, and then the other one keeps coming across the roof from left to right. Same with your windows. It's showing which way the power is going. And then the cords, if you want to put which way the power is going. That's up to you. And then the stakes, same thing. You want to put the power, which way it's going. And next year, whoever you gave that, this map to should be able to duplicate with some training on how to install that job very quick. And the reason we marked like the 1 and the 2 and the 3, so next year when you're installing this, that 1's going to go right there on that edge of the roof. Number 2, you're going to come down to the bottom, put number 2 in, and you're going to keep going across the roof, and someone else can come in behind you then and tab all the rest of those lights in instead of going one at a time down there. If you're not doing that already, that is a big time saver on how to get on and off a roof real quick. And so put that into practice. Some techniques here: make sure to indicate additional installed lights on a job sheet, front and back. Again, for since they're there, they're supposed to, obviously, if we had a 1,000 light tree and we ended up putting 1,100 lights in there, that should have been on the install sheet. Sometimes it's missed, so we have time. I make sure they do a second count after they have all those lights down. They count them and then they put it on our takedown sheet just as a check to make sure we have the same number of lights that we're going to build next year. To note any special circumstance, for example, I need, maybe you only have one 36-foot ladder and you need that on that property. Make sure you have that, because law of averages, next year if it's not on there, you've got somebody that's doing that house that doesn't know that and they get all the way out there. Again, law of averages, it's probably the farthest house from the shop and they don't have the right ladder and you just blew some valuable install time. Label the takedown boxes with the name, address, and number of boxes. 1 of 1, 1 of 6, whatever you have, 2 of 6, 3 of 6, over that. And I'll give you some ideas on some labeling here in a little bit. Just to start drilling it into head, especially you newbies, put a identification inside the box in case the label on the outside of the box falls off. Then you can identify that pretty easy. We store our bows in a separate box. If you didn't, save the boxes that the bows come in, and you can use those boxes to store the bows in. And then wreaths should be stored in large labeled garbage bags. We don't put our wreaths in the bag. We've not found a bag that was the size that it, would fit in there very easily. An option is to save all your wreath boxes, and you can put your wreaths back into the boxes that they were shipped in and just label them that way. Again, just like a special ladder makes special tools that you might need, supplies, requires a certain ladder. Big thing in the garage, especially up, well, anywhere, is you want to mark the exact outlet on that you use in the garage. A lot of people, they have an extra refrigerator or freezer in their garage, whether they have their beer in there or a deer kill maybe or something, extra meat. You don't want to use an outlet and then cause that outlet to trip and then they come home to unfrozen meat. So make sure you're using the exact outlet that you know works from last year. Here's just, you can get these from Action Printing or Avery. Again, that on that roof, number 2 down there in the left corner of that house, that's where that light bulb is going to go. And so next year, they just find that and boom, it's right in and they're moving right along. Just gonna unmute everybody and see if there's any questions up till now. We're getting kind of more into specifics. Any questions? I think you were all unmuted. Well, there's no questions or everybody's asleep. All right, let's move on. Fascia. So specific area of takedown is fascia. You want to label the peaks, the dead ends, and the start point. Again, what will make it as easy as you can next year? If everything's labeled, they know exactly where it goes. They don't have to think about it. You want to take as much thinking, because thinking, I mean, you don't want them to not think. Maybe that's not the right way to put that, but you want them to get up and off that roof as fast as possible. Make sure the map is also labeled for that. We stopped labeling splices or male and female plugs. You can if you want. Again, depends on how your installers will react next year. Removing sections hand over hand. So you just put your right arm out as far as possible, grab the line with your left hand out as far as possible, and then just bring them and hand over hand. We don't use 25 sets anymore. You might have some out there. Leave those connected. We found that anywhere between 100 to 125 C9s is a pretty good cutoff on what you can handle pretty good. And then note on the map the cord layout on the roof, you know, which valley they might have gone down to come down to the downspout and off the roof. Trees and shrubs. You want to start at the top and go to the bottom. There's no magical way that it's going to come down better, but we're using our resources well. If you only have one large ladder and that's the last thing you're going to take down, you could have one or two guys watching that one guy take that down. Again, it's just wasting time. So start at the top, come down to the bottom. Obviously, it's too late this year, but some will take a colored piece of electrical tape and put it at the end of the strand so they know they can find where to start a lot easier. Keep the male end out when rolling. If these are mini lights, you wrap them up, they're not going to get tangled. Again, we talked about keep count of how many lights we're taking down for the map. Make sure those numbers are matching. If not, make sure the office knows that. If you're going to if you put an extra 100 lights in there and you didn't get paid for it this year, you really want to get paid for next year. This is the last time to know. So make them take the time to count them. Keep lights together with each tree or shrub. If you're not mass storing it, you're going to have to keep those together and put it in a bag. And then make all notes on map, whether the canopy, trunk, or branch. Make sure those match up. Windows, okay. Label, remove it, leave it, and then label, kind of the LRLs. Label the middle and corners of the strand with tape. On our windows, when we remove them, we kind of hand over hand the windows because we don't want those, we want them to stay as stretched out as much as possible. You want to remove the glue from the window panes. If you did not follow our instructions and only use the window tabs on glass, you are going to have problems. So that's a whole nother story. You can call me to how to get through that, but a lot of it, you might be painting part of the house. Well, again, every time we're going to roll up, leave the male end out when rolling into ball. Again, we don't do the ball at our company. We do kind of hand over hand. And so that mini light isn't rolled up and tight. It stretches out easy next year. And then label everything on the map with W1, W2, W3. What we do is we just put by the plug a W1, W2, kind of like a roof label to take care of that. Or you could put it in a bag with W1, W2 on that. Stake lighting. Do not remove the stakes from the lights. There's not a problem if you do. You're just causing yourself more work next year. So I would not do that. Mark the cord with an S for start, E for end. Make any special notes. You know, the stake goes to the end of the house, or one stake past this brick, or something like that if you need to. Just like the roof, we're going to roll them up hand over hand and then bag, or you can use a roof light label and label them stake 1, stake 2, or S3, S1, however you want to do that. Again, whatever it takes to get that stake into the right place and installed as quick as possible next year. Garland and wreaths, roll up garland unless it's wet. For in the Chicago area, we just got our first measurable snowfall this year. And so if we're taking garland down, we'd have to bring it in and let it dry out. You don't want to box that stuff up when it's wet. It's going to mildew and smell, and it's not going to be nice next year. We keep the spine of the wire on the same side, then we flatten it out as possible, and then we roll it up. And then we put those rolls into the box. I think instead of rolling it, my guys now, as the length of the box, they kind of fold it back and forth about the same length as the boxes and then stick it in there. I think we found we can get more garland in doing it that way than the rolling it up. Leave the nails, screws, unless you've been with the new ones and use the zip tie, whatever they're called. I just lost my place. We're not going to take any of that out. Now, we have a funeral home that the lady is very particular, and we are putting those black zip tie anchors in a white painted trim. And so we take our fingernail polish and we paint those white so they blend in better. So might have to do that. We box the daytime decor separate from our lights. And so I might have 4 boxes of lights. So that's 1 of 1, excuse me, 1 of 4, 2 of 4. But my daytime is also, I might have 2 boxes there, separate, 1 of 2, 2 of 2 for the daytime. We actually box that, and it just works out where we store it in different places too, because we have a lot of boxes coming down in September, October. We keep the garland stuff up there until November, and so that's why we do that. Again, make necessary notes for special instructions concerning reinstall. And then wreaths will be bagged or boxed at the shop. Box similar items together. Again, we box, excuse me, lost my train there. Roof lights, window lights in a box. Again, all of our mini lights go in a separate area. And then our stake lights and garland daytime go in another box. And so that's how we separate ours. Small jobs may be boxed in one tub. I'm not a fan of that, but you can do that. You just have to have a great labeling system and know which ones are which. So make sure you can put more than one job in a box, but you got to make sure they're really labeled well. And like we've been saying, label boxes 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, however you have to do that. Label contents in each box, roof lights. I'll show you here in a second about that. And then separate daytime decor from others. Might be installing it at a different time. How we do it: roof, windows, and trees and shrubs. As long as they're not going to trim those, go up as early as possible. Starting November 1st, everything goes up. And so you might be grabbing different boxes different times each year. You've got it clearly labeled. The roof lights, tree lights, window lights, whatever's in the box, a brief description. Place the label on the outside and inside. If you want, Action Printing has that. Forget which slide. Here it is right here. Have to get credit for Jason at Save a Tree. He put this on here. This is what they put on all of their boxes, although, you know, they've got 80 crews going out, do a lot, so they use a lot of this. And the neat thing he told me, though, is each year has a different colored paper. So maybe he used white this year and red was last year. That way he knows, hey, that box has not been used since this time of or 2019 or 2018. And then you can make a determination, all right, I'm going to keep that box for 2 years or whatever, and then it's going back into stock. And you can see pretty much he pretty much knows by just looking at the box what's in there. He doesn't have to get it down out of storage or wherever. He knows what's there, and he goes from there. So that's a great tip there to help organize your storage. Clean up and paperwork, pick up all papers, boxes, tools. I always tell people you might never have eaten at McDonald's in your life, but if you leave and there's a McDonald's paper in that yard, they're going to blame you. And so just have your crews police the area. Again, this might be your last impression to that client. You want to leave it as good as possible. Have your crew chief or whoever you decide check the map before leaving the site to make sure everything was done. Make sure we remove all shingle tabs, staples, whatever was used that wasn't at the house when you got there. The only thing I would leave is your anchors for your greenery, but your sales staff should have been doing a good job letting your clients know that's going to happen. Mark down how many boxes were used on a map and on the paperwork. Light-Right, if you use that or whatever system you're using, they should be able to say, I got 3 boxes here. So again, when it comes back into the shop, that can be double checked to make sure we've got everything. Crew leaders, what we do, team leaders, I call them, check map for accuracy before you leave. Make sure there's label on all boxes and the paperwork is complete. My guys, and I'm sure your guys too, have a tendency, even for takedowns, we're always fighting this. They finally get back into the shop, and guess when all the paperwork's getting done? They're just kind of going down the list. Yeah, we took this down, this down, this down, this down. Well, that's a possibility for something being left there that they forgot. Hey, we couldn't get this because there was ice on the roof, and then it's marked as it's done, and then you forget all about it. And so I understand that. Takes a little bit longer, you know, sit there, do it while you're there, and it's going to be a lot more accurate. Questions as we unmute everyone. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and I've got a few. What do you mean by rolling lights up hand over hand? What I mean by that is, again, I stretch out my right hand and I have the male end in my hand. These are C9s or C7s. And then I take my other hand and reach as far as I can in between 2 lights and grab the cord. And then I bring my hands together and I grab the cord, and I keep doing that until everything is in a, that'd be like a 6-foot circle, we'll say. At the end, then I just take my electrical tape, taped up that where I have my first hand, where I'm grabbing everything. And then that's a nice handle to grab everything when you need to.
Yeah.
Someone else can explain that better. I'm all for it.
Okay.
Anything? Looks like, David, that was good enough explanation. Wow, I get a bozo button today. Another thing that we try to do is be proactive with your customers and let them know you're coming for takedown. I know I have some clients that want theirs up till I think it's the 6th of January because of Epiphany. Some will want it because they're having a later party. The last thing you want to do is upset them because you came and took it down and they really didn't want it down. You know, try to be a little, as much as possible, accommodating to that. Goes a long way. It's a quiet group today. You guys are all still hungover from Christmas, right? Okay, storage. We'll talk a little bit about storage today also, and then we'll be done. But once you got it down, you got to get it stored somehow. We use, I think they're plastic Rubbermaid. You've got to be careful. That's a black case with a yellow top. Both Lowe's, Home Depot, and Costco sell those. And two of them are the same and one of them's different. And I don't remember which one. And the problem is they don't stack when they're a little bit different. So if you start buying from Lowe's, keep buying from Lowe's or vice versa, and you won't run into that problem. I know from experience that they are different sizes and they don't stack. So you just lost your ability to stack there. I like those because a lot of times the lights are in possibly, those boxes can go into the back of the pickup. They can get wet and there's no problem. Once one of the boxes gets wet, then that box is usually not any good anymore. So some possibilities: you can store it in your facility if you have enough space. You can rent storage sheds, or there's a lot of things to rent out there. If you have the lot, you have a big enough shop area, you can rent semi-trailers. I don't remember the last time I've checked on the prices, but you can get an idea there. Or you can purchase a semi-trailer and keep it there. I think a semi-trailer will hold, I'm not sure, I'm not going to say that, might be coming up. Here it is. 40-foot semi-trailer holds about 150 jobs. Plus you can store about 10,000 in inventory. Other alternatives, you could store that off lot, I guess, if your semi-trailer can move. Other facility management companies, maybe, you've got a neighbor that's doing something and they have some extra space, you could just rent out their little space or rent a complete warehouse, depending on what you have. I know we are running, have an office and 2 storage areas, and we're getting pretty close to where I'm not sure, because we went up about 100,000 this year. We're going to have enough room to store everything. So we might have to look for alternate means, but we'll come up with something. Here again is the semi-trailers, or the ones you can rent or buy, the storage containers. And so I think, yeah, there it is, opened up. Nice, neat stacks. Aisles you can go down to. What you have to be careful though is rodents or anything getting in there, so make sure you take action for that. You can see that label, you can walk down through there, and this is also Save a Tree, and he's got all those, so each box he would know what was in there, and it's all the same color, so that was used the same year. And so if you're looking for something, you can find it very easily without moving all kinds of boxes and stuff. This is more what our warehouse looks like. We've got it inside. Got the totes neatly stacked, labeled, ready to go. And then the greenery and stuff is in the boxes down on the right. There's a lot of out there about how to store wreaths. We just took a 2x4 and above where we stack all our boxes as high as we can get. We put like 4-foot 2x4 stubs coming out from the wall, and we just slide the wreaths onto that. That way they don't get smushed as much, and they're quicker to fluff. The thing is, come up with a storage system. If you've made some of your own wreaths up and they're multi, you want to be able to find those very easily the next time you want that. And so you might, different color, here's warm white, here's cool white, whatever wreaths you have, 48s, 36, so everybody knows what to grab next year. On the bottom right, they've taken some kind of maybe a storage wrap or something and wrapped up those wreaths that way. Okay. Take it out the organization, if you want. Lightright has the ability to zone, and so you get all your areas in one zone. We don't have the ability to do that anymore because I don't have enough area to keep everything down in case we can't get all that zone down. And so create a number sections. We always like row 2, aisle 3, whatever, something like that. And then Light Right will take that, for example, container 1, row A, area 3. So C1, RA3 goes into Light Right for that. Some garland storage options, dryer areas, roll it up, box and keep with the customers. Other decor. It would be great if we had the room where we wouldn't have to roll or fold the garland up, because it would be a lot less time fluffing it next year. But again, we don't have the area to do that. And in the long run, you're still going to have to fluff it once you put it up there, even if you didn't roll it up, I believe, once you have it on the customer's property. In the wetter areas, you want to allow that garland to dry. Usually overnight is fine. Just lay flat with cardboard or paper between the layers so has the ability to breathe and dry out quicker, or hang it up if you have it. Store to minimize fluffing next year. Again, if you can, you have the room, that's great, but we have a lot of 9-foot sticks of garland that would have to hang someplace to do that. Some storage concerns, make sure it's insured. A size of our company now, if all that storage area burnt, we would not have the money to have to start over. So make sure you have and I'm thinking my insurance, it's contents, something like that on your insurance policy. Security, obviously you don't want people just be able to walk in there and take things. You want to protect it from the weather, rain, snow, flood. If your faucet, for some reason, you're up by us and it freezes because it got so cold, you don't want all that water in there. So we always have it up above the floor on a pallet or something. And then again, the rodents and insects. We all know how much damage those squirrels and stuff do while the stuff's up. We'd hate to have a squirrel get in there and start chewing all our cords up. That'd be a nightmare. So protect from that. Be sure not to place on original map. You always want to have an original map so you can always go back and start over if you need to. We call it the modified map. We're modifying what we're doing at that house each year. Make sure you enter your storage location and number of containers, especially if you don't have a shop person that can find this stuff and you're expecting your install crews to find this. You want them to be able to find this and get out of that shop as quick as possible, because they're wasting valuable time installing by looking for something. And then enter added lights and added items if applicable. You want to make sure you're getting paid for the number of lights that are there. And then sometimes you might, your installers, especially the more seasoned ones, are going to know, hey, we had to put a lot more lights up here, so roof lights, that maybe it got measured wrong. Again, you can add that in at takedown and make sure you're getting the right price for next year. Questions there? I think everybody's still unmuted. Let me make sure they are. If you weren't, you are now. So that's the end of the slides I need to do, but I'll answer any odd question or any question. Over the 20-some years, I've probably seen it or done it, and probably done it wrong.
Gary?
Yes, Kevin?
Originally, when some people started using those storage containers, is there a concern about humidity and heat damaging the product if you store it inside one of those?
Yeah, I know Carrot Trees is up there in Denver. It's pretty dry there, and so they get pretty good. I have not heard, Kevin, anybody using it down in the south where there's going to be a lot more moisture, but we can probably put that out there on our Facebook or something like that and see if that is a problem.
Well, we have a lot of humidity where I'm at.
Yep. You got
Over
that corn growing.
Yeah. I just recall somebody, when they first started doing that they had some problems with the reeds and stuff, especially if it wasn't completely dry when they put it in there.
Yeah, because those containers are basically for, going across the ocean, so they're pretty they're probably pretty airtight. I'm sure not completely airtight, but it's not going to ventilate very easily. So that could be a concern. Unfortunately, I don't know that for sure, but I will look into that. Good question, Kevin.
Hey, Gary, Don here from Canada.
Hey, Don.
Have you had any problems with those storage, the Rubbermaid ones collapsing with the heat if they get, hot in the summertime?
Obviously, we're in the Chicago area, Don, and I have them in my warehouse on a, we built kind of a platform up so they're even higher. And so far we have them probably 7 high on that, and we've not had any of them. The ones we're using have that problem.
Okay. Yeah, we used some blue ones a few years ago, and in the heat of the summer, like you, we store them up at the top of our warehouse, and the sides collapse. But maybe these ones are a little stronger, the ones that you showed before. We'll have to look into that. Thanks,
Yeah, that
Gary.
might be, and those black, they're pretty tough. So,
okay.
And if you watched your big box stores right now, a lot of times they'll run a New Year's special, and you can probably get some at pretty good price. But again, this year, all that logic is off the table because they might be out of them already.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah. Hey, Gary, it's Don again. Is this presentation on the intranet?
The slides are on the LMS system is where I've got it. It's on day 3 if you have that. If not, just email me if you can't find it, and I'll help you find it.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Hey, Gary, it's Steve
Yep.
from Decor Aurora. I have a lot of issues with wires and stuff frozen in, and I really don't get going at a lot of takedowns until March, February, March, if I can, because of that.
Yep.
Just because of the issues. I imagine that's just a standard practice, eh?
Yes, we'll go around January and February, and we'll have stuff frozen on the roof that we make a note of it to know we're going to go back there. Obviously, we do our spring cleanup, which is like our 3rd takedown, we call it sometimes, and we'll grab everything then when we're looking to clean it up. So the guys make a note of it that we have to get back there, and we just go from there. Try to get as much down as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, some of you probably did not read the fine print on the when you signed up for this webinar, but everybody that signed up has to buy me a drink in Nashville. So I appreciate all your efforts for that. So thanks a lot.
Hey, you bet, Gary. Will do.
Well, Don, I hope you can come this year and they let you cross the border.
That's right. Yeah, I hope so too.
We missed all the Canadians last year.
Where is the 2022 one?
Nashville, Tennessee, at the
Sounds good.
the Gaylord there. That's probably one of the biggest hotels I've been in. So looking forward to it.
Good.
If you haven't been there, they actually have a boat ride inside of the hotel you can take.
Oh.
So what I did, I just saved it
Any other questions?
on the spreadsheet.
I don't want to shut it down too early. All right, if you ever need to call me, if you want to write this down, this is my cell number. It's 815-671-3508. 815-671-3508. 771
Okay,
3508.
okay,
Put that in there.
okay,
This is totally.
okay, okay.
All right, well, we're gonna shut her down. Hopefully you all have a good and safe New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It sounds like the Chicago area is gonna be plowing on New Year's Day, so yippee. That's all I can say. All right.
Happy
We'll
New
see
Year.
y'all.
Gary.
If not sooner, we'll see you at convention, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.